In July 2025, South Africa's Eastern Cape was hit by one of the worst flooding disasters the province has seen in years. Heavy, unrelenting rainfall poured down for several days, turning rivers into raging torrents and hillsides into deadly landslides. Entire communities found themselves submerged underwater within hours. The storm system that triggered the floods moved in unexpectedly, fueled by a rare combination of warm ocean currents and a stalled low-pressure system. What began as a typical winter storm quickly escalated into a national emergency. By the time the rain stopped, dozens of lives had been lost, and the devastation was widespread. Hardest hit were areas in and around Gqeberha, formerly Port Elizabeth, Buffalo City, and several rural villages. Bridges collapsed, roads were swept away, and homes were reduced to mud-covered debris. In many places, power lines fell, leaving thousands without electricity for days. Rescue operations were launched immediately, but access to many communities was blocked by floodwaters and landslides. Emergency teams used boats and helicopters to reach those stranded on rooftops and hilltops. Families were seen waving from upper floors and clinging to anything that would float. At least 41 people were confirmed dead, and over 70 were injured, while hundreds more remained unaccounted for in the early days. More than 1,500 people were displaced, forced to flee with only what they could carry. Tents and temporary shelters were set up in schools, churches, and sports halls to house the growing number of evacuees. Footage from locals revealed terrifying scenes: streets turned into rivers, cars floating downstream, and buildings collapsing in real time. In one viral clip, a mother was seen handing her baby through a second-floor window to a rescue worker in a boat. Another showed entire taxi ranks submerged, with only the rooftops visible. The government declared parts of the Eastern Cape a disaster zone, unlocking emergency funds and mobilizing national rescue resources. President Cyril Ramaphosa visited affected areas, promising swift action and long-term support for rebuilding. He called the floods a wake-up call on climate adaptation, highlighting the growing threat of extreme weather. Many of those affected were already living in vulnerable conditions, informal settlements along riverbanks and low-lying areas most exposed to flooding. Poor infrastructure and limited drainage systems worsened the impact. Community leaders have urged for better housing, sustainable planning, and early warning systems moving forward. Environmental experts linked the disaster to climate change, pointing to rising sea temperatures and unpredictable weather patterns across southern Africa. This is not the first time the Eastern Cape has faced flooding, but the frequency and intensity of such events is increasing rapidly. Rainfall totals during the flood exceeded 250 millimeters in just 36 hours, overwhelming even urban infrastructure. Cleanup operations began as soon as the waters receded. Debris removal, restoring roads, and reconnecting power were among the top priorities. Volunteers from across the province came forward with donations, food parcels, blankets, and clean water. For many, though, the psychological impact runs deeper than the physical damage.